me. We might just have it, ladies and gentlemen. Have we got it? Are we there? Maybe. I can't see the chat. I can't see nothing. Oh, dear, dear, dear. How does it work? Perfectly yesterday. I test it throughout Formula One testing. It's all good. And then we get to the real thing. Bang. First issue. Doesn't work. Nothing's happening. Oh, goodness gracious me. I hope we are all okay. How are we getting on? Are we enjoying ourselves? I'm trying to get everything loaded up. It is just falling apart around the not applicable offices. Here we go. Now I can see people. Now I can see people. Hello, hello, hello. I'm the best for real. How's it going? Clara, Coop, Sarah's back. Thank you, thank you. MJ, hello. Kim, yes, we are so incredibly back right now. Let's pop the chat up on the screen so that people can see it. You wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people. How are we? How have we all been? It feels like it's been a very long time. I feel like I should apologize, first and foremost, for the just lack of content, but it's been a stressful time in the life. And I'm so glad Formula One is back as a healthy distraction from everything that is going on right now in the world. How are you, Ash? Hello, Storm, as well. How are we doing? We are hopefully live across YouTube and Twitch this season. So let me just check that that is live. We'll see. I assume it is. But we'll check in on that at some point. There should be a dual chat between the two of them. How are we looking? Are we dropping frames? Are we okay? It looks like we might be. All right, tired. Yeah, I definitely didn't need the technical issues that I've had over the course of all of this morning. As I say, I do it during Formula One testing. Everything works. Everything looks good. You get to the point where you're like, yeah, all right, we're back on it. It's all good. And then just decides to not this morning. So pleased for the start of the season. Oh, me too. Me too, Sally. Cannot wait for this to get underway. In fact, shall I just check that I can actually put the stream up on the other screen? Because that would be awkward if you guys can see it and I can't. Bang. Stream. Living room TV. Oh. Have a question. Why people don't show F1 races on F1 TV, but NASCAR does? It depends on the region that you're in. Unfortunately, if you're in the UK, you get the worst possible Formula One coverage for the money, basically. Across the United States and Europe, they use F1 TV to show Formula One, and you can get like a big bundle where you get everything that you possibly could. But they don't. What's my fantasy team right now? That is a great question. I have changed it a little bit, actually, since I made that video. Can I show it on this screen? Ooh, possibly. Let me see if I can get a brow. I can get a, where is it? Window capture. Chrome. Will it just do that? If I pop it over to one side. Chrome. These are my teams. Oh, that looks terrible. Oh, and I've got two of them. Good. There you go. That looks... Is that roughly in the box? Not really. I don't think people mind about the box. They're my three teams at this moment in time. Gone for the Williams build. The one in the middle is more like the kind of build I settled on yesterday. Then the one on the right, team 3, is always my kind of wild card fun one. And then team 1 is supposed to be a bit more aligning with what people are saying is actually good. So, indifferent. I'm not very good at Formula 1 fantasy. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not sure if you're copying teams. It should be mine that you copy, to be honest. Let's have a little look. Quali will start at 12 p.m. my time. Oof. Ouch. It's not the worst in the world. At least you can go to bed afterwards. It's that weird in-between time for me. Like tomorrow when it's 4 a.m. It's like, do I stay up or do I go to bed early or do I just sort of hang it out and see what happens? Did copy myself? Fair enough. Absolutely fair enough. But yeah, as I say, probably some better creators out there that know a little bit more about Formula 1 fantasy, if I'm honest. But I try my best, you know. I give it a good go. I never come anywhere ridiculously high, but at the same time, I never come anywhere ridiculously low. I feel like I'm in the middle of the one. But it's a sleepy early morning start for the Australian Grand Prix, isn't it? When it's quali, we're about 15 minutes away. Just getting everything loaded up on various different screens after some technical difficulties this morning. Let's get your predictions in, though. What do you guys think is going to happen this morning? What do you guys expect from the Australian Grand Prix? And are we just going to see what some people are saying is just going to be McLaren dominance? Or is it going to be, I think it's going to be a little bit more open than that, if I'm honest. I think it's going to be very, very difficult to call who's going to be where. And I don't know. I think depending on, I was going to say depending on the weather. Like, again, it's looking like it's going to rain a little bit. It's raining right now. Yeah, exactly. Oh, no, sorry. It's not raining right now. Is it raining right now? I haven't loaded it up yet. I shall in a second. But it's looking like rain tomorrow, definitely. I love it when Brits suffer waking up at 3 a.m. when we don't have to. Mixed bag, McLaren 1-2. Ollie Behrman will struggle. I think people are saying that just because he crashed in free practice 1, which can happen to anybody. So I don't think it's going to be as big of a problem as people are making out when it comes to old Ollie. Yuki fan, hello. Best team Williams? Well, they're looking pretty good, but we thought that about RB going into last season and then just sort of slowly ebbed away throughout the season, didn't it? Yuki Tsunoda started the year really well and then it slowly sort of dwindled as the season progressed. Hello, United Edits. How are you, mate? Has flop team? Well, I can show you your guys' actual predictions if you like. So when it came to the predictions that you guys threw at me over the course of the last sort of 3 or 4 days, if you haven't got involved in this, this is over on the posts tab now, not the community tab anymore on YouTube, the posts tab. And this was what you guys ended up with as an average. Now, I will say some of these were very, very close indeed, to the extent that literally 1 or 2 votes could have swung them in a slightly different favor. So 35% of you guys that did the votes voted for Lando Norris to win the Australian Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc was then second with 29.9% of people thinking Charles Leclerc would finish second and 20.8% of people thinking that Oscar Piastri would finish third. So it is very, very tight between the 3 of them. I think that just shows that the McLaren love is there a little bit more in that both Piastri and Norris got quite a few votes. in and amongst that top three. Max Verstappen was also in the mix, though. Max Verstappen got 18.2% of the vote for coming first and winning this race. I think Lewis Hamilton was in there. Yeah, Hamilton, 8.4% of the vote. So you can see how it's a little bit of a mix. And just because Lando Norris got 35.7% of the vote does not mean that there weren't a few drivers that were very, very close behind in contention. I like the fact that you guys have gone McLaren best team. That's what I'm hoping for. Feel like it could be a McLaren heavy day, especially because Oscar Piastri, home race, little bit of momentum behind him. Because of that, could be very, very exciting to see what he does. Best good surprise was a real mix. Carlos Sainz, very, very close to winning best good surprise. But Kimi Antonelli, 27% of you guys think that Kimi Antonelli has got something up his sleeve and that we could be seeing a Kimi Antonelli masterclass of some kind, so that he is gonna deliver in that McLaren, in that Mercedes car. Obviously looking okay throughout practice, not insanely quick, but he's been saying himself that he's needing to get used to the tires a little bit, so it makes sense that he is adapting in that way. We know that the tires are so tricky in Formula One right now. Biggest struggle was a real mix, real mix. Like Liam Lawson and Lance Stroll got the same amount of votes, but I figured it was a little bit more enticing to say that Liam Lawson was going to be the biggest struggle of the weekend, because is Lance Stroll struggling really news at this point? Not after the end of last year, unless he starts this year absolutely on fire. Jack Doohan also got a lot of votes in there, though. I think Jack Doohan was only one vote behind those two. So it was like Lance Stroll, Liam Lawson, Jack Doohan were the main ones. But Kimi Antonelli was in there. Isaac Hadjar was in there. Gabriel Bortoleto was in there. Like, a lot of people not so sure who's going to be the actual driver who we say, no, they had the worst weekend there. But flop team, 31.2% of people going Aston Martin. 26% of people going Stakes Sauber. So again, feel like there's no massive consensus here, which just goes to show how unpredictable the start of this 2025 season is looking. But a lot of people going for Stakes Sauber and Aston Martin as their sort of not so likely to succeed driver pairing combo, however you want to see it. Oh, here we go. My stream is finally loaded. The amount I pay for Sky Sports and the times it doesn't work is unbelievable. Hello, Cyber Torrent. Enjoying the fact I don't have to wake up early, so stay up all night to watch the weekend. Yeah, I feel like we're going to get a little bit of a mixed bag in terms of people watching the stream, possibly for the first time, because it is a very, very different time to obviously the normal times that we are streaming. So if you are new, hello, welcome. Hit that subscribe button, all that good stuff. You know what to do. And of course, we will be delving in to every single point. Oh, I'm dropping frames. Am I dropping frames on YouTube? Is it looking okay? What's happening? Interesting. Feel sad for Ollie. Yeah, I mean, it was unfortunate for Ollie Behrman to obviously crash that early on. But it's one of those things. It was going to happen at some point in the season, wasn't it? Like, all of the rookies at some point are probably going to have a moment or two. And I don't think that's reflective of how his whole season is going to go. I think we're allowing it just a little bit. Maybe a little not bad. Weird. My OBS is having a little bit of a meltdown. Weird. Oh, well. We'll see. Let's do that. How are you? When is qualifying? 10 minutes away. We are not far away from qualifying at all. All the GMT people are lucky. It's 1 a.m. for me. Cool. I don't know. The 1 a.m.'s all right because you can stay up for 1 a.m. You don't have to get up for 1 a.m. Well, unless you're the kind of person that goes to bed very early. In Ollie we trust. I think so. I think so. Should we have a little look? Obviously, the Drivers' Championship tells us nothing at this moment in time. But what we can see is just the drivers up and down the Formula One grid this year. A lot of new names. A lot of new names, really. Looking at it. Got Norris and Piastri, Leclerc and Hamilton, I think, are the ones that people have got their eye on for this first race of the season, just because it's looking like the McLarens, the Ferraris will have that slightly better setup for Australia. They're carrying a little bit more momentum from the end of last year as well. And then you've got the other side of things, Max Verstappen, never count him out. I think the only reason people are slightly sort of iffy on Red Bull, obviously Liam Lawson coming in. Same Kimi Antonelli for Mercedes, so some new faces to get used to. And it's always like, okay, are they going to hit the ground running? Are they going to need a little bit of time to get used to the car? We only find out once they hit the track for the first time in this qualifying session and give us some actual data to look at. Then underneath, Aston Martin are the weird one, aren't they? Fernando Alonso, Lance Stroll still in there. 5th fastest last year by a considerable margin, but at the end of last year, it just felt like they were getting reeled in by the rest of that midfield pack, and they weren't really getting any closer to the top teams, didn't it? It just felt like Fernando was having just a pretty drab end to the season last year, and Lance Stroll a very, very horrible end to the season last year. I'm praying I have a severe tornado warning. Goodness gracious me. Just praying I see the end of the season. Maybe, find shelter. Find somewhere. Please like this. I don't know if you can like a live comment. But there we are. Looking at the McLaren beanie, I mean, there's just pure laziness on the fact that I did not want to get up and have to have a shower and do my hair before we got in there. But, if you've got a tornado warning, maybe stay safe. Don't ignore that on the count of watching an hour of Formula One racing. Flash flood warning. Can we all just sort of not have horrendous warnings about the weather around us? Whole of Norwich going to be flying? Oh no, there's no tornadoes in Norwich. Is the most drab place in terms of weather. It is grey, wet. I mean, there's no extremes, which is quite nice, but at the same time, it's also just a bit boring. Antonelli podium finish. That would be a good surprise. That would be a very good surprise. My English teacher is at the race. That is just very jealous. Very, very jealous indeed. We are about to get underway, though, in Melbourne for the first time in a long time. It does feel like it's been a while since we've been racing in Formula One, but a lot to come this season. 24 Grand Prix ahead of us. Good morning, Dice. How are you? I am so ready for this. Shall we get the board up? The board of dreams. No transcriptions yet on the radio. Piastri top of the standings before we really get started. It is clear in Melbourne at the moment. And not too windy either. Track temperature pretty decent too. So it's in the mix for all of these teams to be right on it when it comes to their racing. Is this the qualifying? It is the qualifying, starting in a couple of minutes' time. I think Antonelli will take some time to settle in. First podium, 5-7 races in. I like it. I like it. Marky boy, hello. Liking the new official UI, though. Snazzy and simple. Yeah, it's not too bad. I feel like people get very, very angry about any kind of change. But it has to update, right? It has to get that little bit better each season. They have to mix it up a touch. Otherwise, you wouldn't know it's a new year. You wouldn't know that there's new things going on. So I feel like they do have to swap it up a touch. My predictions, I was hoping nobody would ask. I would absolutely love to see a Lando Norris win here. Absolutely love to see it. But I do think Piastri might be in the mix, and Charles Leclerc is the qualifying master. So it could. I feel like it's so incredibly unpredictable. I hope Williams do well. I know there's a lot of hype around them. I hope Carlos Sainz kind of jumps back into a decent seat. You know what I mean? Like, I'm glad he's not going to Williams of 5 years ago, because that would be absolutely tragic. But, oh, hang on, the chat isn't up. Why is the chat not there? Hang on. You see what I can find. Here we go. Are we there? Maybe. Sarah's is back. Maybe that's fine. Maybe we're back. Oh God. What a time. What a time to have a little bit of a technical issue, eh? Classic. Let's put that there for now. Let's just forget about making it look okay. There we go. Are we back? Are we back? Maybe. I have no idea. It's very, very weird. Not sure. Never had these issues before. Goodness gracious me. Oh, okay. We're back. Charles Leclerc quickest, 116.4. Goodness gracious me. Oh, so back. Sorry about that. No idea. Absolutely just ridiculous. So many technical issues straight off the bat. Gonna get the gremlins out before the before we really get going this season. Lando Norris then goes top by 4.5 tenths of a second. Fernando Alonso, third fastest, not too shabby at all from the Aston Martin team. An Aston Martin team who don't really feel like they've got much to fight for this season. Ollie Behrman, though, unfortunately, a gearbox issue. See if he can get back out on track before the end of the session. But in the pits currently is Ollie Behrman. I am so glad I took Ollie Behrman out of my fantasy team. Here we go. Verstappen. Fastest first sector from Max Verstappen. He is absolutely rattling around, and trust Max Verstappen to turn up when it really matters. Sector 1, purple. Sector 2, purple. Can he get around the final few bends and put himself top of the timing sheets? Ooh, Lando Norris in the gravel at turn 6, but here comes Max Verstappen round the final corner. Down towards the start-finish line. It's only second fastest. It was that third sector that just didn't quite hook up for Max Verstappen that time around. But still, the Red Bull. We were never talking about Max Verstappen, were we, beforehand? We were saying, never count him out, never count him out. But we were talking Ferrari, we were talking McLaren, and then, of course, Max Verstappen comes in and is exceptionally quick. Don't know why the driver radio transcription isn't working, but let's get rid of that and pop something else up there, shall we? Let's do something like this. Hadjar and Sonoda now out on track for the first time. I don't want to lose 5 drivers, I'm going to be honest with you. Just enjoying how good it is to see Formula One cars out on track. They are trying to fix Ollie Behrman's gearbox. Is it going to be worthwhile? Are they going to be able to fix it in time? I feel like it's going to be a very, very long wait for Ollie Behrman inside of that car. Needs to get out there. It's going to be close. Albon quickest in the middle sector of anybody at this moment in time in his Williams car. Jack Doohan also very quick through the middle sector. Here comes George Russell, currently 15th fastest in his Mercedes. Should do a watch along with Dan. I would love that. I would love that. I have to see what he says. George Russell, though, final sector coming around. Alex Albon goes 7th fastest with that. But yeah, purple in the middle sector from Alex Albon there is the shortest of the sectors, but still quickest nonetheless. Russell down to the line, 4th fastest in the Mercedes, 2/10 off the pace. Well, nearly 3/10 off the pace of Norris, but George Russell on the medium compound tyre. So saving a set of softs is George Russell. Lando Norris still quickest by 100th of a second to Max Verstappen. Piastri a 10th and a half off. And a little bit of snagging issues at the beginning of the season. Max Verstappen getting himself stuck on his drinks connector. And Alonso is on an absolute storming lap. Alonso, purple in the first sector, purple in the second sector. I think the track is coming towards the drivers now as it starts to rubber in. But even so, this is electric from Fernando Alonso, who goes 5th fastest overall. Sector 3 was a little bit off. Maybe just pushed the car too much in the first couple of sectors. Lance Stroll crosses the line. Goes into the top 9. Lewis Hamilton down in 12th place. That would be a disaster for Lewis Hamilton, wouldn't it? If he goes into his first qualifying session with his new Ferrari team and doesn't make it through the first qualifying round. Hulkenberg, Lawson and Ocon, the 3 drivers that have completed a lap and are currently too slow. Kimi Antonelli. Oh no, Antonelli's done a lap as well. Apologies. Oh, a yellow flag. It was Alonso going through there. Did Alonso kick up some gravel, maybe? Yeah. Yellow flag is now gone as Lance Stroll makes his way past where his teammate is complaining about that gravel just being all over the track. Bottom 5 right now. Hulkenberg, Lawson, Ocon, Antonelli, Behrman. And it was Liam Lawson. Oh my goodness, Liam. Got really, really wide at turn 3. And I mean so wide that he almost touched the barriers. Sparks flying underneath Kimi Antonelli's car. To the extent that I might say that that car's running a little bit too low. Because that is a lot of sparks coming off the back of Antonelli's car. And some sparks from the front as well. He is running that Mercedes ragged around here. Is Kimi Antonelli. Here he comes around the final corner. Can he get up out of the bottom 5 and put Pierre Gasly down into it? Yes, but it's only 14th. Very low, though, that Mercedes car. Like, basically scraping along the ground. That can't be helping out in terms of lap time, can it? Dragging around the bottom half of that car. Lawson may be sacked soon. Antonelli into the gravel. Did go wide. Absolutely ragging that Formula 1 car for everything that is worth, though, is Kimi Antonelli right now. Can they even figure out their car? I mean, if last season is anything to go by, probably not. Mercedes, unfortunately, just burning through the tyres. Ollie Behrman still inside of his Haas car. And it looks like a shake of head from the Haas team. The gearbox seems to be working from their end. They were saying it was fine over the radio, but Ollie saying that he couldn't get it to work. 4 minutes to go in his first Grand Prix weekend as a full-time Haas driver. He was so good in the couple of races he had for Haas last year. Be very disappointing that his first actual race starts in this kind of disappointment. Antonelli also not safe for his first race inside of a Mercedes car. And there is the sparks flying off the back of Antonelli's car. So it just looks like that car is way too low for where it should be. Like, okay, yeah, we see sparks in Formula 1. We don't see sparks like that. Like, something has gone wrong on that Mercedes car, possibly from when he went through the gravel. Norris fastest in the pits right now, though. Verstappen out on track, but is making his way around. Lawson in 18th place. Looks like Max Verstappen might be giving Lawson a little bit of a tow, to be honest, by the looks of things. George Russell then behind those two. Carlos Sainz just coming around to finish up the middle sector. Slow first sector from Carlos. Is 8th fastest at this point, just behind the man who replaced him, Lewis Hamilton, who's jumped up into 7th. Gabriel Bortoleto, currently the man just through to Q2. But Gasly, Hülkenberg, Lawson, Ocon will all be looking to improve. Ollie Behrman, a gearbox issue after that crash on Friday. Looking like it's going to be the end of his first qualifying session after, well, not even really a lap, was it? It was a lap, but can we count it? Carlos Sainz does go quicker than Lewis Hamilton, jumps up into 7th place. And as at work during FP3, couldn't change my team before the deadline in time. I'm fuming. That is unfortunate. It's all right. You've always got your wild cards. You can always swap the team dramatically if needed. Just think about this, though. Ollie Behrman, okay. The qualifying hasn't gone to plan, but starting 20th tomorrow, could maybe shoot up the order, getting some overtakes done, especially if it's rainy, just keeping himself out of trouble. Ocon down there in 19th place as well, though. The Haas car not even looking quick in Esteban Ocon's hands. He's a pretty safe pair of hands, usually. Oh! Lawson goes wide. Oh, Lawson's in the grass! And Lawson is going to pull into the garage, and that's going to be Lawson out in Q1, down in 18th place. That is not the start you need to your Red Bull career, as Yuki Tsunoda is making his way through round in 13th place. The storyline, of course, Lawson got the nod over Tsunoda. And Tsunoda now coming around Sector 1, Sector 2. He's improving, and Tsunoda goes up into 6th place. If Liam Lawson was in 6th place, you wouldn't mind it at all. Goodness gracious. Liam Lawson out in this one. Ollie Behrman also. Gasly, Hulkenberg and Ocon looking to improve. Here comes Pierre Gasly. A lot of hope on this Alpine car. Jumps up to 8th fastest, puts Gabriel Bortoleto down into the bottom 5. Bortoleto and Hulkenberg, both of the Stake Saubers down there. Hadjar under pressure, needs to improve. And does. Goes up into 9th place. Gets himself ahead of Sainz and Hamilton. Jack Doohan also coming around. Doohan on the bubble right now in 15th place. Can he improve on that? Yes. At his home Grand Prix. Actually goes ahead of his teammate Pierre Gasly. That puts Lance Stroll now under pressure. Alex Albon in 14th place. Needs to go quicker as well. But a poor middle sector from Alex Albon. Was improving in the first sector though. Let's see if he can improve his time. Overall's going to come across the line. 7th fastest for Alex Albon. That's going to put him safe and puts Antonelli and Hamilton down into the mix. Lance Stroll comes across the line. Only 13th fastest for Lance Stroll. Hulkenberg and Bortoleto both making their way around. Kimi Antonelli looks like he is going slow. Antonelli is not going to improve upon that time, so we could see Antonelli out in his first qualifying session for Mercedes. Here comes Lewis Hamilton, puts himself safe and goes 6th fastest at the checkered flag. Bortoleto and Hulkenberg, though, still making their way around. Here comes Hulkenberg around the final corner and down the back straight for the Stake Sauber team. Is he going to be able to improve? Yes, but not enough. Hulkenberg stays in that bottom 5 and saves Antonelli some blushes. Here comes Gabriel Bortoleto, the last opportunity for somebody to get up into that top 10. And it is! Antonelli is out! Antonelli is out of qualifying. A super lap from Gabriel Bortoleto, the Formula 2 champion, knocks out Kimi Antonelli in his first qualifying session for Mercedes. Oh my goodness gracious me. And Antonelli gets the news that he has indeed just been bumped. Gabriel Bortoleto, take a bow. Outqualifies Nico Hulkenberg, gets himself into Q2, and also ahead of the likes of Antonelli and Lawson. A Mercedes and a Red Bull out in qualifying already, and that opens up the door wildly for the rest of the teams moving forwards. Goodness me. Jack Doohan also take a bow. Very solid from Jack Doohan there. And people were saying Jack Doohan was the rookie driver that was under pressure. I'm not so sure now. Liam Lawson and Antonelli both out in their first qualifying sessions for their respective teams. Esteban Ocon out in his first qualifying session for Haas. Ollie Behrman not even able to set a time. There's a yellow flag in Sector 1. Track hazard at turn 6. I imagine that's the teams just running out and putting some gravel back to where it should be. Lily Lexi, Jack eating the pressure. I think so. He's absolutely turned up there as Jack Doohan. Put in a faster lap than Pierre Gasly. And, you know, everyone's ratings of those rookies was, well, Jack Doohan's the one that I'm not so sure about. Could be replaced by Colapinto. Comes in, absolutely flies. And now you're looking at Kimi Antonelli and Liam Lawson and Ollie Behrman being the rookies that haven't quite done the business at that point. Goodness gracious me. Oscar Piastri, though, quickest in the first sector. Lando Norris, quickest in the middle sector. In the final sector of anybody. And George Russell, quickest of anybody in the middle sector. Ollie Behrman, very disappointed. I mean, it's not really his fault. Is it, Penguin? It's not really his fault. Toto Wolff for getting not signing Carlos Sainz. I think everybody is at this point. Carlos Sainz, 13th fastest, though. Inside of a Williams. Not quite at the pace of Albon yet. Albon 8th fastest. Tsunoda, I think, is the big one for the Red Bull lineup. Tsunoda up in 7th place. Best of the rest, you would say, behind that bottom 6. I'm gonna start pointing it out. Should they have picked Yuki Tsunoda over Liam Lawson? Is it looking like that decision might come back to bite a Christian Horner? Because let's face it, it's Christian Horner who doesn't really want Yuki Tsunoda in the car. Oh, well, and Helmut Marko, I guess. But they've just never been fans of Yuki. Disappointed by Antonelli? Yeah, very, very disappointed. Well, it looks like there was something wrong with that Mercedes car. If I can give him any kind of like help, it looks like there might have been something wrong with that Mercedes car because it was running so low to the ground. So low to the ground. The sparks were everywhere. Felt like the balance was definitely off. Like the rear ride height must have been wrong. And Lawson on the radio had no tyres at the end of the lap and goes wide around those final couple of corners. Goodness me. Tiny bit early for that call. Oh, yeah, I know. I'm just stirring the pot a little bit. I know, Kelly, but you got to stir the pot a little bit. Ride height of Kimi Antonelli's car. Yeah, that's what I think. I think there must have been an issue. To give him a little bit of an escape from the criticism that is going to be thrown his way. I think it's... and Liam Lawson having the same issue that Sergio Perez did last year. Max Verstappen makes the car look quick, and they can't seem to. It is the curse of being Max Verstappen's teammate, isn't it? If you are Max Verstappen's teammate, the car doesn't work for you. Go and find something else to do, right? They might as well just run one Red Bull car. That is where it is. I wish I could have seen my fellow Brazilian go to Q2. He's there, don't you worry. You're going to see him. Bortoleto in the mix for the top 10. Mark my words. You don't become Formula 2 champion without being a pretty decent driver. Isaac Hadjar also doing the business for me as well. I have done pretty okay, actually. I have Stroll, Hadjar, and Bortoleto in my fantasy team. Piastri as well. I'm not doing too badly. Not doing too badly. Antonelli's doing me a disservice because I have got Mercedes in as a constructor. But that was the gamble. But then my thought process was, oh, do I go Mercedes because Kimi Antonelli or do I go Red Bull because Lawson? And both of them have let me down. So how many points is a good score after qualifying? No idea. No idea. Especially because they change up the point system like each year. So it's going to be slightly different every single time around. We'll see, basically. Why I picked Stroll on my fantasy team? It's just because Alonso is a little bit more expensive. But anyhow, we are underway for the second qualifying session of the season. Q2 getting underway with Max Verstappen coming around the first few corners all by himself. Charles Leclerc a fairly distant second, and Lewis Hamilton coming around behind his teammate as well. I do like the fact that everyone is getting out early when it comes to qualifying this year. Have I posted my league code? Ooh, I think I put it on the community tab. If I didn't, I'll pop it up later. Just because he's from Brazil doesn't mean he's next Senna. True. But I think, we haven't had a Brazilian on the grid for a long time. And we love a Brazilian in Formula 1. They are what keeps Formula 1 thriving, in my opinion. They're the heartbeat of Formula 1, the Brazilian drivers. They're just something about them. It's a little bit special, isn't it? I think Gabriel Bortoleto sits in that camp. It's got something a little bit special about him. Right. Let's get into it then. Max Verstappen comes across the start-finish line. Let's get these flying laps underway. 5 drivers out so far. Antonelli, Hülkenberg, Lawson, Ocon, and Behrman. The 5 drivers that did not make it through to Q2. We're going to cull 5 more drivers ahead of the top 10 shootout. Finish 11th to 15th, and you will be out of qualifying and your grid position set. So Doohan, Gasly, Hadjar, Stroll, and Bortoleto, the 5 drivers that need to improve if they're going to make their way through this second qualifying session. A lot of opportunities, though. That top 10 usually has 8 drivers from the top 4 teams. 2 of those already out. Antonelli and Lawson opening the door to some midfield drivers scoring some pretty good points in this first session of the season. Here comes Verstappen to set the standard in this second qualifying round. Charles Leclerc, the driver behind him, going a little bit slower as Charles Leclerc. Verstappen looks like he's going to top the timing sheets ahead of Leclerc once Leclerc comes around. A 1:15.6 from Verstappen, fastest in the first and second sectors of anybody today. Here comes Charles Leclerc. Can he match that? It's a 1:15.8, so a 10.5 off the Red Bull of Max Verstappen. And Max Verstappen looking very quick indeed. Just never discount Max Verstappen turning up and doing something a little bit special is what we're learning, isn't it? Here comes Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton fastest in the third sector of anybody so far this afternoon, but only third fastest on the board. Used set of soft compound tyres, though, on Hamilton and Leclerc's cars, so still more to come from them. Verstappen was on a fresh set of softs. Piastri at 26.1 through the first sector. Oh, sorry, that's Lando Norris, 26.1 through the first sector. Blisteringly quick from Lando Norris. Piastri not too bad either, though, actually. George Russell goes second fastest of anybody. Also on a used set of softs, so that's a little bit ominous. Carlos Sainz comes across the line, goes 5th fastest behind the bigger teams in front of him. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri looking very quick indeed, but not quite fastest unless this final sector gets hooked up for Lando Norris. A very quick first sector might just put him top of the timing sheets, and it does. Piastri goes to the top of the timing sheets with the fastest final sector. Here comes Lando Norris as well. So the 2 McLarens taking the top 2 spots, and actually Oscar Piastri getting the better of his teammate there in the middle sector and in the final sector. Lando Norris only 4th fastest of anybody in the final sector. Fernando Alonso peels into the pits, even though he hasn't set a lap time, so something wrong with that Aston Martin car, clearly. Lance Stroll, though, will finish a lap for the Aston Martin team. Comes across the line as Lance Stroll and slots in at 9th fastest, which is slowest of everyone who's done a time so far. Stroll in 9th. Tsunoda, Doohan, Gasly, Hadjar, Bortoleto still to come, all on outlaps. Lando Norris looking to improve, but coming back towards the pit lane now. What happened to Fernando Alonso then? Here's the replay. Ooh. And a snap through turn 9 and 10 for Fernando Alonso onto the gravel. Ooh. And maybe is wondering if he's done any kind of damage to the floor of that Aston Martin car, and maybe realizing that that lap isn't going to be worth doing, peels into the pits. Fernando Alonso. Carlos Sainz also on the gravel. Exit of turn 10 is starting to catch out a few drivers now. And Carlos Sainz also asking for the team to check the underside of that car. New tyres go on to Carlos Sainz's Williams. Currently 6th fastest, 6.5 temps off though. Piastri and Norris looking very, very quick indeed. Hadjar and Gasly coming around at this moment in time. Hadjar's going to be first across the line of these drivers yet to set lap times. Doing them behind that. Bortoleto and Tsunoda's only just making his way to the end of the first sector. Here comes Hadjar. Hadjar, a 1:16.4. So quicker than Lance Stroll by considerable margin. Gasly comes across the line, 8th fastest, puts Lance Stroll down into that bottom 5. Tsunoda, Alonso, Doohan still to come. Doohan is next up in that Alpine. Can he go quicker than Gasly again? Not quite. Only 11th fastest and not outside of that bottom 5. So Doohan needs to improve if he's going to make it through to his first Q3 session. Gabriel Bortoleto for Kick Sauber. 2 seconds off the pace. And Tsunoda, the final driver to set a lap time. Well, I guess still waiting on Fernando Alonso, but that was a mistake that cost Fernando Alonso his lap time. And Tsunoda up into 6th. Oh, goodness gracious me. That is a very, very solid lap time from Yuki Tsunoda, isn't it? I'm just saying to everybody at Red Bull, but as a Yuki Tsunoda fan, I feel like, you know, I'm repping the RB merch. A little bit of a mind bend here. McLaren hat, my McLaren with my mind, Red Bull or RB with my heart. I wish. Come on, Charles. Let's make this interesting. I kind of want Charles to do well this year. That's the problem. I really would like a McLaren world champion. Of course I would. Lando Norris probably would be... Well, actually, I don't know. Either of them. Lando Norris for me, just because he's been at the team a little bit longer. I have a little bit more of a connection with Lando. I'd love to see him win the championship. But if he doesn't, if Charles Leclerc manages to snatch it, I'll be really annoyed, but also slightly happy. I would like to see Charles Leclerc win a championship at some point, because he is rapid inside of that Ferrari. And Hamilton about a 1/10 of a second slower than Oscar Piastri's time through the middle sector. Charles Leclerc not quick through the middle sector at all. I feel like a merge conflict. Aston Martin fan. That is a poor choice. Hamilton. Oh, no, still behind Charles Leclerc. Leclerc's still 3.5 tenths off the pace inside of that Ferrari on a fresh set of softs. Ferrari not looking anywhere near as swift as we were expecting them to, are they? They're only just ahead of Tsunoda and Albon, and Tsunoda and Albon are probably going to come back around once more. Ferrari probably haven't got another lap in them unless they go straight. Oh, maybe. Got to come all the way back around, though, of Leclerc and Hamilton. They've kind of gone early, hoping to get no traffic. Of course, they had that, but not an amazing lap from either of the Ferrari drivers. Leclerc just ahead of Hamilton. A Yuki win. That would be absolute dream stuff. Especially in Liam Lawson's. It's not his home race, but it's kind of as close as he's going to get, isn't it? Like, as close to a home race for Liam Lawson as there could possibly be. But I know that doesn't really count. That's a bit like saying all the French drivers should count the Silverstone Grand Prix as their... Oh, no, I suppose the Belgian Grand Prix would be a little bit closer. Glad you're not the only Will Bull fan. I think you're allowed 2 teams. You're allowed a tier A and like a tier 2 team, aren't you? Tier A and tier 2 is... Oh, God, I'm so tired. Tier A and tier B team. Feel like that's okay. My RB connection was Pierre Gasly. Just really loved Pierre when he first came through. Don't know why. Just felt a connection. And then I had loads of AlphaTauri merch. And then I've sort of just carried that on and been like, yeah, Yuki Tsunoda's pretty great. I'll stick with it. Predict Sainz on the podium. Ooh. That would be spicy. Very busy in the pit lane. Again, we're seeing that kind of pit lane traffic this year, aren't we? Everybody having to wait in the pits and juggle their time management. There is a Ferrari at the back of that as well. Is it Leclerc? Yeah, Leclerc came into the pits, I think, for another set of tyres. Hamilton continued on with the tyres that he's already got. So Ferrari twisting with the Leclerc, sticking with Hamilton. Here comes Gabriel Bortoleto in his first Q2 appearance, his first qualifying appearance in Formula 1. Of course, Formula 2 last season, won that. Formula 3 the season before, won that. Be very surprised if Gabriel Bortoleto goes on to win Formula 1 in his debut season. But never say never. Stake Sauber under Matteo Binotto. We can see there in the Sauber garage. Of course, Audi next year. Cadillac joining the grid too. It's going to be very, very interesting 2026, but 2025 ahead of us. Let's not look too far into the future. We've still got a season to enjoy, and Gabriel Bortoleto must be enjoying this first qualifying session. DRS Open goes past the McLaren of Lando Norris down into turn 3, turn 4, smooth from Gabriel Bortoleto. Oh, and then loses it. That's a very good save from Gabriel Bortoleto from what looked to be almost a very nasty. And Gabriel Bortoleto, come on, get back around. One more lap. You got a minute there. Tyres are probably a little bit worse for wear. Let's hope he's got enough fuel in the car to do one more session. But he did manage to grab that. That is a good save from Gabriel Bortoleto inside of that Stake Sauber car. Of course, you'd hope that they wouldn't have to save the car like that, but looking back at it, a very, very good save indeed. Lance Stroll trying to improve in the Aston Martin, quicker in the first sector and the second sector than he was before, but Jack Doohan also going pretty quick in the Alpine through the first sector. It's Hadjar, Stroll, or Bortoleto, Alonso, and Doohan that all need to improve. Doohan looking good. Oh, someone's gone off. And it's Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton has stopped and spun through that final sector. And that's going to cost everybody time. Lewis Hamilton in the middle of the track. Jack Doohan had to slow down because of that yellow flag. And that's going to cost him. Had to navigate a lot of traffic as well there to Jack Doohan. That's a real shame because he was going pretty quickly. But isn't going to make it through. Goes 13th fastest overall. 6 seconds left on the timer. Isaac Hadjar is making his way around. He's right on the cusp, is Isaac Hadjar. Carlos Sainz is behind him, though. So Carlos Sainz will get a rebuttal if Hadjar can get himself into the top 10. Can Hadjar do it? Across the line he comes. And no, stays in that bottom 5. Does Isaac Hadjar. Carlos Sainz was behind and improving. But Sainz is going to make his way through in 7th place by the looks of things. Here comes Alex Albon. Can he get ahead of his teammate? No, stays 9th fastest. But again, both Williams cars making their way through. To be fair, it's a little bit of an expected one, isn't it? Max Verstappen now going quickest of anybody, just showing off towards the end of the session. Maybe making McLaren realise that it's not going to be as easy as they think going into Q3. Max Verstappen just puts himself within 1/10 of a second of Oscar Piastri's time. Here comes Fernando Alonso, and it's only 12th fastest for Fernando. Pierre Gasly then through just about. In 10th fastest, is he going to go any quicker? Stays 10th, does Pierre, but through nonetheless. So Lawson and Antonelli opening that door for a few of those midfield drivers to make it through, and Albon and Gasly, the beneficiaries of it. It would have been Carlos Sainz and Yuki Tsunoda through, and Carlos Sainz best of the rest in Q2. Hamilton loses it into turn 12, sorry. And Hamilton has to spin around inside of that Ferrari car. Was the slowest of the 6 drivers you'd kind of expect to be up there was Lewis Hamilton. Norris, Piastri, Verstappen, Russell, Leclerc and Hamilton are top 6, as you'd probably have guessed going into this first qualifying session. And yeah, Gabriel Bortoleto got to the curb, was already out of shape. Oof. Very solid catch, though. Managing not to lose that stakes Abakar into the barriers. Bortoletto down in 15th. Hamilton, go get him. But it wasn't overly convincing from Lewis Hamilton. And the Ferrari engineers rebuckling Hamilton into the car. Maybe felt like he was coming a little bit loose inside of the Ferrari. Norris quickest in that second qualifying session, though. So it is Isaac Hadjar, Fernando Alonso, Lance Stroll, Jack Doohan and Gabriel Bortoletto, the 5 drivers that join Kimi Antonelli, Nico Hulkenberg, Liam Lawson, Esteban Ocon and Ollie Behrman as the 10 drivers who are now out of qualifying. What happened to Doohan? A little bit out of shape in the middle sector was Jack Doohan, to be fair, but then also hit Lewis Hamilton as he was facing the wrong way, so had to slow down for yellow flags. So of those drivers, probably Doohan the most unlucky there, but didn't look like he was going to make it through fully anyway. So you can kind of take that with a pinch of salt to an extent. Bortoletto, though, is the one I'm just a little bit... I would have liked to have seen what his real pace was, because he wasn't 2 seconds slower than Lando Norris. But maybe we'll get to see that in the race tomorrow in terms of that race pace. I think the only thing to worry about is the rookie drivers, those drivers that don't have the experience of a full race run on these tyres. I know that they get to do a practice race in testing and things like that, but a full race run, holding on to a set of tyres under the pressure of having drivers behind you snagging at your heels is very different. And I do worry a touch for the likes of Hadjar, Bortoletto, Antonelli, that running a full race distance and holding onto the tyres will be quite tricky for them. But we'll have to wait and see. You never know. Maybe they've got to grips with the tyres already. I'd be impressed. It's usually a tricky one to get hold of. As I see here. An advert for the McLaren Formula One team. Fair enough. Don't think they need to run an advert for the McLaren Formula One team during the Formula One. The timings tell you all you need to know. But we are a couple of minutes away then from our first top 10 shootout of the season. I'm very much looking forward to this one. If you could hit the like button, that would be amazing. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Aiming for that 120,000 subscriber mark. Haven't really set ourselves a goal for this season yet. Obviously last year it was hitting that 100,000. Ooh. And George Russell is noted for possibly impeding Charles Leclerc. And trundling along was George Russell, but interesting. Found a meme, says Australia, 5 rookies and Stroll with a 90% chance of rain going into turn 1. That's the other thing as well. Not just the tyres, but also the fact that those tyres might be in wet weather conditions. It's going to be very, very interesting, isn't it, to see the start of tomorrow's Grand Prix and see how it develops. Because as much as you can qualify well, it does not mean that you are guaranteed to be good throughout the race. The race and qualifying are two very, very different things that you have to get right when it comes to Formula One. Yeah, Jack Doohan. Let's have a little look. Oh, no, he literally came across Lewis Hamilton at the worst possible time. Because the yellow flags were there, and there's Lewis Hamilton. Ah, that's annoying for Jack Doohan, isn't it? So, yeah, Bortoletto and Doohan, both unlucky in that case. Is it over? Absolutely not. You are here for the absolute spectacle that is going to be the final qualifying session. Gasly channeling 2021 Gasly. Yeah, I really hope so. I hope this is his best season because 2021 was stunning. Just in time for the real deal. Hello, mate. My predictions are winner Norris, podium Norris, surprise Norris. I think he's a Norris fan. Okay, there you go. Kimi Antonelli with the excuses. Yeah, I think that the car did look like it was running very, very low. So Kimi Antonelli explaining that there was a lot of damage to the floor of his Mercedes car. And I mean, there must have been. It was running so low. There can't have not been damage, basically. Looking at how the car was running. But we are getting into Q3. 12 minutes on the clock. Well, 11:40 now. George Russell, first driver out on track. Oh, no, sorry. I'm catching. For some reason, they're showing George Russell. Oscar Piastri, first driver out on track. Lando Norris just behind him. Charles Leclerc as well, joining the grid. Russell and Hamilton also getting involved just behind. Feel like that top six. Can we predict it? Norris, Piastri, Russell, Leclerc, Hamilton, Verstappen. It's going to be tight. I feel like the Ferraris are the ones that haven't enamored me yet. Verstappen has shown that he can be very, very quick in two sectors to then very off the pace in the third. Max Verstappen, always a threat inside of that Red Bull car as well. And Gasly saying it's looking pretty dark. I'd prefer there not to be rain at this point, to be honest. Keep the rain for tomorrow. A dry qualifying session, a wet race to start off the 2025 season. Yes, please. Here comes Oscar Piastri then to start his first flying lap of this top 10 shootout. Where are all the rookies? The rookies are all gone at this point. Hadjar, Doohan, Bortoletto, Antonelli, Lawson, Behrman, all out, unfortunately. 6 drivers there, disappearing down into the ether of the bottom 10. Sainz, Tsunoda, Albon, and Gasly showing their quality. And I mean, if you are going to pick 4 drivers from the midfield pack who are going to have that little bit of special about them, outside of maybe Fernando Alonso, I think they would be your picks, wouldn't they? Sainz and Albon, very highly rated. Tsunoda showed last year that he has got that quality. Pierre Gasly looks like a completely different animal after the end of 2024, where he was so incredibly quick. Piastri, slower than his teammate. Lando Norris, quickest in the first and second sector so far, although, having said that, Leclerc then comes along and takes that fastest second sector away from him, and Russell's actually quickest in the first sector. And Piastri sets the standard at a 116.1. That will come down substantially, you would imagine, over the course of the next few laps. Lando Norris takes it into the 115s already. A 115.9 for Lando. Here comes Leclerc, quickest in the middle sector for the Ferrari team. And a 115.7 goes top of the timings. And Lando Norris, lap time deleted by the looks of things. George Russell comes across the line, goes quickest again. Here comes Lewis Hamilton then after a spin in Q2. What can he do in Q3? Puts himself 4th fastest at this moment in time. Verstappen, though, again, quickest in the first sector, quickest in the second sector. Can he finally hook up the final sector and go top of the timing sheets? Yes, a 115.671. And it was turn 4 where Lando Norris got his lap time deleted. Carlos Sainz comes across the line at 1:17.3. Don't think that's a full flying lap from Carlos Sainz. That would worry me a little bit if there wasn't a mistake or something in there. Albon comes across the line, and Albon goes 5th fastest of anybody. Goes quicker than Lewis Hamilton in the Ferrari. Yeah, that is a track limit violation from Lando Norris there. Got all out of shape. He will not be very happy, and also gets onto the gravel at turn 6. Everybody's flirting with that curb at turn 6, aren't they? Trying to take as much speed as you can through that very, very high-speed section, but taking a lot. And Oscar Piastri also getting a little bit wide and onto the grass in the penultimate corner. Max Verstappen then, quickest of anybody so far. George Russell and Charles Leclerc within a 10th of Max Verstappen's lap time as we see the Red Bull peel into the pits. Albon and Tsunoda currently quicker than Lewis Hamilton. Might be the only Alpine fan watching this live. I don't know. There's a few Alpine fans dotted around. I'm not really an Alpine fan, but Pierre Gasly fan. Does that count? I've got a lot of Pierre Gasly AlphaTauri merch. So incredibly tight. Top 3 separated by a 10th of a second. Piastri and Norris to join that. Both of the McLarens making mistakes. Ooh, and Verstappen nearly off the track at turn 4 as well. Everybody's turn 4 and turn 6 seem to be the ones where people are just getting, I don't know whether it's a little bit greedy or just going a little bit wide. Everybody's pushing it. Williams cooking. Williams look great right now. Albon and Sainz up into the top 10. Obviously gaining a little bit on the fact that Antonelli and Lawson both out in Q1. They would normally be in the mix. The second Red Bull, well, I say that. Sergio Perez wasn't in the mix as much as they wanted him to be. But the second Mercedes usually in there. Not this time around, though. That's Liam Lawson for you. He tried. He tried. No, I feel like there's more to come from Liam Lawson. It's just his first qualifying session in that car. And we've seen it's not a very easy car to get to grips with. The McLaren team having a look at that floor damage. Is there any on Lando Norris's car? He was a little bit concerned after going wide at 6. Hamilton goes wide at 13 again. Albon also on a used set of tyres. Tsunoda, Hamilton, Gasly, Sainz, all on used sets of tyres. So, interesting. Yeah, Max Verstappen hasn't been on pole in a while. But this is an opportunity to get that pole position time. Here we go then. 4 minutes on the clock and everybody getting out into the pit lane. Everyone with the same idea. The Ferrari's trying to join in. Leclerc nips in front of Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton spots in behind his teammate. Piastri is going to be first across the line again. So Piastri. And then Norris just behind. George Russell coming down towards turn 1 as well behind him. Max Verstappen down towards turn 1 also. Gasly is behind that. It'd be interesting to see who comes out on that pack. Albon, Tsunoda, Gasly, Sainz. Which of those drivers can be top of those 4 and whether or not Hamilton or Norris can get outside of that. Verstappen on here for the last 2 years in a row. Charles Leclerc has also been on pole in Australia 2022. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri have yet to be on pole in Australia. Piastri, I don't know if he even has a pole to his name, does Oscar Piastri? Can't think of one off the top of my head. Here we are then. Oscar Piastri coming around the final corner. Yuki Tsunoda, the last driver to join the track. So let's go through it then. Piastri, can he improve in front of the home crowd? They're cheering him on from the side of the track. The Australian fans loving to see Oscar Piastri inside of that McLaren car. A competitive McLaren car as well. Lando Norris is getting his lap underway behind. George Russell's just coming across the start-finish line now. Verstappen, Gasly, Leclerc, Hamilton, Sainz, Albon, and Tsunoda is going to be the last man to set a lap time. But it's all about Piastri, Norris, and Verstappen for me right now. Leclerc and Hamilton maybe being able to get into the mix. George Russell, an outside shot. Sector 1, Lando Norris is quickest of anybody. Piastri is 0.04 of a second off of Max Verstappen's time coming through the second sector. Max Verstappen, though, also is now on his first final flying lap. He's at 100th of a second slower than himself through the first sector is Verstappen. Lando Norris still purple then in the first sector of anybody. Piastri and Norris then. Piastri is going to come across the line first. Where does he put himself? It's provisional pole by 0.4 of a second for Oscar Piastri. That is stunning from the Australian. Can Lando Norris match it? He can. Lando Norris quicker than his teammate by 1/10. And, Verstappen's gone wide. Verstappen has gone into the gravel at turn 12. So Verstappen, I don't think will improve. And Verstappen is outdone by George Russell. Russell goes third fastest. Verstappen needs to come across the line. Can he get it? No, it was that mistake that cost him. And Verstappen only third fastest in the Red Bull. Drops George Russell down to 4th. Hamilton and Leclerc then. Hamilton not purple in either sector. Neither is Leclerc at this point. McLaren 1-2 looking very, very strong right now. Here comes Lewis Hamilton around the final corner. Charles Leclerc's peeled into the pits. Hamilton, can he improve? Yes, Hamilton slots into the top 6 as you'd expect him to be. But there is still some Williamses to come. Here comes Carlos Sainz, currently 10th fastest, jumps up into 8th place. Albon comes around the final corner. Here comes Alex Albon. Can he outqualify his teammate? Yes, he does, and goes 5th fastest ahead of the Ferraris. Goodness me, Alex, what a lap that is. The Williams outqualifying the Ferrari cars. Gasly slots into 8th place. Here comes Tsunoda, and Tsunoda goes quicker. Tsunoda goes 5th fastest. Alex Albon and Yuki Tsunoda take a bow. Leclerc and Hamilton out-qualified by an RB and a Williams. Lando Norris, though, takes the first pole of the season. Lando Norris looking for that first win of the year. This is it, surely. His time is coming. Come on, Lando. Come on, Lando. Yes, 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 yes. What a season we are in for if this is how tight it is going to be. Never discount Max Verstappen. A little mistake there from the Dutchman at the end. We didn't really get to see how quick Lando Norris would have been compared to Max Verstappen. Truthfully, Piastri within 1/10 of his teammate as well. And we've seen last season, Piastri is not going to make it easy for his teammate any step along the way. But Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri are top two. A 1-2 for McLaren straight off the bat this season. Verstappen comes third. George Russell fourth. That'll be an interesting duo going down towards turn one. Verstappen and Norris have never really seen eye to eye since they've been in Formula One together. And Max Verstappen, especially if it's raining, don't discount him. Don't discount him at all. Yuki Tsunoda, fifth fastest of anybody. Goodness gracious me. Yuki Tsunoda in the RB. Albon in sixth place. Leclerc, seventh. Hamilton, eighth. Gasly in ninth. Carlos Sainz in 10th place. That is our top 10 shootout. Of course, the five drivers out in Q2, Hadjar, Alonso, Stroll, Doohan and Bortoletto will start 11th through to 15th. And then the five drivers that were out before it even really got going, Antonelli, Hulkenberg, Lawson, Ocon and Behrman will start 16th through to 20th. Goodness gracious me. What a first stream to start the year. Apologise for the few technical difficulties that we had here and there, but hopefully you enjoyed it nonetheless. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you could hit that like button on the way out, that would be amazing. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I will see you in 22 hours time for the start of the first Grand Prix of the season. Can Lando Norris turn it into the first win of the season? Or will Piastri, Verstappen, Russell, maybe even Tsunoda be able to get one over on Lando Norris ahead of his championship battle? It's going to be close. It's going to be very, very close. I can't wait. I can't wait, and I'll see you there.